Let's rock!
Welcome to the Quest World Archives. Downloading archival footage.
Jonny Quest was the first adventure cartoon made for one of the TV networks in the United States, and it was really unlike anything else Hanna-Barbera had ever done, and it was very unlike a lot of the TV cartoons that were done at the time.
Joe Barbera said the great appeal of the original Jonny Quest was there was a bunch of guys with no mother. They could do anything. There was no mom to stop them.
Of course, it's an all-boys adventure, told from the point of view of a young boy, thrust into this world of scientific invention, new locales and mysteries, something like we hadn't seen before.
He was going to places that American kids didn't know about. You know, bringing exotic worlds and exotic ideas to a younger audience.
It brought a sense of adventure and fun and a world appeal, things that kids didn't really have an opportunity to see as much as kids do today. You know, now it's like they've got the internet, they can click on anywhere in the world. Back then we kind of relied on our cartoons to give us places to go and see.
Nothing's impossible. There are only possibilities waiting to be discovered.
There were only 26 episodes, and they were all really, really good. They had good stories and adventure and visual imagination in the locales and in the gadgets and the inventions and crazy things that they had on that show. And they reran them on Saturday morning, and Saturday morning didn't have the budget of a primetime series. So they looked really good as the subsequent years went on, and Jonny Quest looked better and better. They really knocked themselves out to really create something new, a new genre of TV cartoon, a genre that's exploded even more so today. Jonny Quest was the father of all of the adventure cartoons you can think of. All adventure cartoons really took their look, their feel, from the original Jonny Quest series.
You know, when you have something that's works on a level, especially for young boys, you know, it's always going to work. So to bring it back was almost a no-brainer, because not only would you get the audience from the people who originally watch it, who are now parents, you're going to get their kids too. It was a show I actually watched and was excited about when I was a kid, and now here's a chance for me to sort of bring it up to date.
Hanna-Barbera at the time had recently been purchased by Turner. So I think there was a focus on revamping the company, changing the company a little bit, getting out of that style of animation and bring it more to the kids of the time rather than the kids of the generations before.
Your father has taught you well, Jonny.
Jonny Quest was a major, what they call a major agenda. They were going to relaunch this property and do all the subsequent merchandising and that kind of thing. And it wasn't your father's Jonny Quest. It was going to be a Jonny Quest that kids from today could relate to. And it would just have a whole new look in every way, up and down, whether the logo was new, you know, the coloring. It had a dark feel to it.
And they brought in a guy called Dick Sebast, who I'd never worked with, never met before. First of all, he's a very good artist. He was incredibly encouraging in everything we tried to do to make it more realistic. If we're going to have a plane, it's going to be a plane. And it's going to have a control stick. And when you take it off, you rotate properly. You know, the whole thing is going to be real.
It's clear they're attempting to communicate with each other, sir.
We did tons of research, not only for the story, but visually as well, because it was based on reality.
When I saw the material, I thought, you know, all we need to do is make it realistic. We need to make it as if it's a live-action movie, make the kid absolutely believable, make everything he does believable, so that he can't fly a rocket, but he could possibly fly a plane. You know, he doesn't have a driver's license, but he sure knows how to drive. He can shoot a gun. It's ridiculous to give somebody a laser gun. And, you know, you can shoot with a laser gun that doesn't do anything other than kind of knock you back out of the whatever. All that does is familiarize people with a handgun. What you need to do is show a handgun, shoot it, and show the consequences. And the consequences, you're going to die. I mean, that's the lesson.
See, I'm not too hot on guns. You little punk.
I, on the other hand, don't have a problem with them. It's all a matter of how you use them, isn't it?
Character is beloved. You have to treat that really, really special. You have to understand why the fans really love this show. And you have to make sure you retain those elements, or at least make some sense of it if you're going to change it.
I wanted Jonny to be more on the cusp of adulthood, you know, and cool. You know, I think he's got to be cool. He has to be a kid that boys would look up to, that girls would like, that parents would admire, you know, and yet he's got to have an edge to it. I think the phrase we used was, it's like a hero in training.
He reminded me of a teenage Captain Kirk. He was just very bold, instinctive, intuitive, and you know, kind of a natural leader.
You have to be true to what the character is. You have to understand the character. You have to understand what the fans are feeling about it. You just can't superficially say it's an adventure cartoon, it's Jonny Quest, and we'll just do it with a lot of modern-day pizzazz. You have to make sure you retain some of those great elements.
Well, at least we still have our good looks.
We were trying to update and revamp the whole show for a modern audience. So finding Jonny, for example.
The number you have dialed is temporarily out of service, sir. Please hang up and try your call later.
Jonny's still a kid. He still had to sound like a real boy. He's still adventuresome. He's still a little mischievous. And he needed to sound like a kid.
It's not a lie, Hodge. It's a protective fib.
And we did multiple auditions, days of auditions, to find the cast of this show.
And when JD came in, he was a godsend to me, because you could direct him. He understood what we were trying to do. He understood the character.
He did an absolutely terrific job, and I think he brought all the fun and all the magic to Jonny that he had, because he's a charming character, a really charming character.
Come on, Jonny. We don't have all day.
All day is not needed when only a moment will suffice.
You've been hanging around Haji too long.
It was an unusual case of a multi-ethnic casting, really, with Haji.
Obviously, if you've got an Indian, he needs to be Indian. So, you know, what elements of that can we bring in? You know, what elements of mysticism can we, in a realistic show, can we convincingly add?
The astral plane? The mind is everywhere and nowhere. It is empty of thought, good or wicked. There is no trace of self-awareness. You simply float.
There are inner states, mental states, that some people appear to be able to access. I wish I could.
Jessie, who was the daughter of Ray Spannon, was definitely created to be a companion for Jonny, and also added a female element to the series, something for the ladies to, you know, identify with.
As we did with Jonny, let's make her real. You know, I don't want a guy in a skirt. She's more mature than Jonny. You know, she's probably smarter than Jonny, actually. And I wanted her to be good looking. You know, I wanted her to be attractive. I wanted for there to be the possibility of some electricity between her and Jonny, despite the fact that they weren't perhaps of that age yet, you know.
It was a good third character to contrast. Jonny, who's very reactionary and to bounce ideas off of, but also offers a different perspective.
Very cool.
Jessie had to have the qualities of Jonny in the female form, and yet she also had to counterbalance Jonny.
We could not cast Jessie. We tried everything. The woman that played Jessie has immense energy, huge energy, and is the kind of woman who could do all the things that Jessie could do. You know, athletic, smart, right, you know, and so on and so forth.
We hit a grand slam.
Mr. Ray Bannon for you, Doctor.
What was that for?
Trieste.
Hey, I was only doing my job. What was that for?
Kabul.
Hey, I was only doing my job.
Robert Patrick played Race Bannon, and just has this sense of this underlying adventure, and he's mischievous himself.
He's actually kind of typecast into these heavies, you know, especially after Terminator 2, but He's actually a very thoughtful, in many ways intuitive actor as well.
In a way, he's Johnny grown up. He's the hero that Johnny could become. But I also wanted to give him a much more interesting philosophy. I mean, I wanted to make him like a cowboy philosopher or a philosopher warrior.
When you boys in Washington let the cattle out of the corral, it's us cowboys that have to round them up.
He was a little more of the outdoorsman than the original Race Bannon was. Robert's race was a little more personable.
I've managed to decipher the signals, and it's quite serious.
George had the intelligence and the wisdom and a little bit of the maturity that Don Messick brought to Benton Quest.
I wanted him to be a more intellectual, kind of muscular scientist, but a guy who would believe that there could be a Jersey Devil. What is it? Where is it? I'm open to believing it.
Classified or not, there is an advanced extraterrestrial civilization out there warning us to halt these tests at once.
George Segal's a tremendous actor. I don't know if you've seen his earlier films like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. Guy is incredibly broad and versatile. Granted, it's a voice acting, but he brings a lot of realistic subtleties to his performance.
I think we wrote some terrific scripts. I think we had some great designs, and I think we were true to the spirit of the story.
Here was a chance to actually do physical stuff that was based on reality, and also the challenge of working with the new technology, bringing it up to date with CGs and new gadgets, new toys, and that was fun as well.
Take something like that, change it enough where it's fresh and new and different, and still remain true to the characters that were created years and years ago was not only a challenge, but it was a lot of fun.
Jonny Quest is a hero for the ages. He will go through decades and time, and still that character and that personality will, people will love that character. There's no reason why this character can't go on forever.